in qualifying, but even in race trim we used to have over 1,000 horsepower, so they were exciting cars, to say the least. So I'm Stefan Johansson. I was a McLaren Formula 1 driver in 1987. Generally speaking, I think that era in particular was probably the best era that there ever was in F1 in terms of brute, powerful cars you just had to manhandle, you know, and required more car control and I think more out of the driver than any other car's ever done since. You literally just hug the inside of the corners as long as you can, and then you had to anticipate for the power to come in. So you start putting the power on maybe a second or two sooner than you really wanted to start accelerating. And then once the power comes in, all hell breaks loose, you know, and you wanted as much room as you could on, you know, on the exits because you couldn't pick the gears quick enough. When you crank it up to full power, you know, you literally just blank off the wastegate and you got one lap qualifiers, and at the end of the day, you know, you got to tear the engine out and put a new one in because it was just all pouring out of every orifice. Remember, just to pack the, you know, the radiator inlets with full of dry ice, you know, for the qualifying laps in particular, to make sure the engine would last, you know, at least one lap. We didn't have any electronics back then, so it was all just feel and car control, you know, and massive horsepower, of course. The tires were good though. I mean, I said I sort of yearned for those days with the tires we had because they were amazing, you know. I mean, the grip level in the qualifying tires were incredible. It's just seat to the pants and just go for it, you know, and you know, sometimes I remember you come in, you know, and the engineer was asking, like in Monaco, for example, you know, what's the car like? I mean, you know, like, what are you talking about? It was just a big blur the whole lap. The sophistication they have on the cars today, not only aerodynamically, but even on the mechanical side, you know, with dampers and all the stuff that's, you know, there today. I mean, we had none of that, of course. I mean, it was very, very basic. I think McLaren, especially in that era, was always the team that kind of moved the goalpost for everybody else. I probably learned more in that year, truthfully, than I did in my whole career, partly because of working with a team like McLaren, who's super professional, you know, and so together in every way, but also being teammates with Alain Prost, you know, who was, and I still think is really the standard for drivers, you know, just the way he operated around the car and everything. It was a huge learning experience for me. He was by far the most complete driver. I mean, Senna was, of course, super fast. I mean, incredible talent, but as a complete driver, there's no one that was close to Alain, I don't think. To me, he stands out as one of the top three ever in history. We're blessed here in California. We've got some of the best roads in the world here, I think. I mean, there's some amazing roads up in the canyons here that's like, literally like Nürburgring, every one of them, you know. So it's, if you have a nice car and you want to go for a little spin, you know, I mean, there are some incredible roads here. I think the road cars in general today are extraordinarily good. I mean, when you drive a turbo car today, I mean, you barely even notice there is a turbo on the car. I mean, it's virtually no lag. It's instant, you know. So I mean, the engine technology, I think, has come such a long way since those days, you know, that it's a totally different world.